He was a retired CIA agent with a tough past. He was hired to protect daughter of the most influential person in Mexico. His job was going well until that one day when the girl got kidnapped by drug lords. The mafia was powerful, but this time they underestimated this unknown CIA guy who will cost them everything. Welcome back to Paramount Recaps. I don't have many subscribers, but your single comment is a ray of hope to motivate me.
The movie starts in Latin America, where kidnappings are a huge problem. Sadly, people are snatched all the time, and around 70% of them never return. As we cruise through Mexico, we meet John W. Creasy, a former CIA guy who's now wandering the streets. He's visiting an old buddy, Paul Rayburn. It's clear they both have a CIA background. Paul's curious about John's life lately, and John's pretty blunt, saying, "Not much." That's when Paul mentions a job opportunity. Seems like a lot of people in town need a reliable bodyguard, and John would be perfect for it. One person in particular who needs help is Samuel Ramos. His daughter needs a bodyguard not just for her safety, but also to activate her kidnapping insurance policy. Next, we see Samuel chatting with his lawyer, Jordan Kalfas. Jordan tells Samuel he needs to find a bodyguard for his daughter soon, or his insurance policy will run out in 60 days. Meanwhile, Paul is on a mission. He's convinced John is the right guy for the job, and with a bit of persistence, he finally gets John to agree. John and Samuel meet up in a car, and Samuel checks out John's credentials. He's impressed by John's CIA background, but wonders why someone like him would want to be a bodyguard. John explains that drinking too much has slowed him down. Samuel doesn't care about that. He just tells John to keep it quiet around his wife. When John arrives at Samuel's house, he meets Lisa Ramos, Samuel's wife, who's happy to have an American around. Then the lively little Lupita Ramos, or Pita, comes over to say hi to her new bodyguard. After their introductions, Pita shows John to his room and tells him he's the 5th bodyguard she's had. John asks her to call him Creasy to keep things less formal. Pita heads to bed, and her parents remind her about school the next day. As she snuggles with her teddy bear, she names it Creasy Bear. The next day, John is deeply focused on a map of Pita's school. He takes a break and lets the parrot out of its cage. On the way to school, Pita chatters away, curious about John's job and whether he faces challenges as a black bodyguard in Mexico. John just says, "Time will tell." When they get to school, Pita wants John to come inside with her. Inside, Pita introduces John to her teacher, who notices John's reserved demeanor and guesses he's had a rough past. While Pita is in class, John stays outside, keeping watch. On their way back home, Pita keeps asking John about his school days, and his patience wears thin. He finally snaps, saying, "I'm your bodyguard, not your friend." Pita retreats to the back seat, and John immediately feels bad about his harsh words. Back at the house, Lisa tries to chat with John, but he's clear that he's there for work and not to make friends. As night falls, John battles with dark memories of his past, struggling with alcoholism and guilt from his CIA days. He contemplates ending his life. Luckily, the bullet he's about to use doesn't fire. He reaches out to Paul, standing in the rain for comfort. Pita sees him from her bedroom window, gaining a glimpse into his troubled world. The next morning, John drives Pita and her mom to school. He notices a car following them and asks Pita for a pencil, but she's quick to jot down the car's number herself. It's a special day for Pita, her swimming competition. John, now fully committed to protecting her, cheers her on. She places third and worries she'll never win. John reassures her that she's fast in the water. It's just the start that's tricky. As days go by, John decides to help Pita with her swimming instead of leaving her to train alone. They turn the backyard pool into their training ground. With each lap, John guides and encourages her, and their bond grows strong. When the next competition comes, John's dedication shows. Pita dives in, and this time, she wins. Their joy together shows just how much they've come to care for each other. A real friendship forms between John and Pita. Part of their routine includes John taking Pita to her piano lesson. One day, while waiting outside, John sees police cars blocking the street and recognizes the car that followed them before. He senses something's off and warns Pita to run. Chaos erupts as bullets fly. John, though injured, fights off attackers. But in the confusion, Pita is kidnapped. As John recovers, things get worse. He's now suspected of kidnapping Pita and killing the police officers. But reporter Mariana Guerrero challenges this. She reveals that the officers weren't on regular duty and had a shady background. The story shifts to Samuel and Lisa's heartbreak, and now the anti-kidnapping unit is teaming up with Jordan and Samuel to solve the case. The next day, Paul swings by the hospital to see John and runs into a FBI agent Miguel Manzano. To keep John safe from the corrupt cops, They decide to move him to a vet clinic, keeping him out of sight. Meanwhile, the voice, the mastermind behind the kidnapping, demands a massive ransom of $10 million. Samuel Ramos agrees to the deal and relies on Lieutenant Victor Fuentes to handle the money exchange. But things go south fast. At the drop point, there's an ambush, and the voice's nephew ends up dead. Before ending the call, the voice ominously tells Samuel and Lisa, "God be with your child." Lisa, desperate for her daughter's safety, is met with a cold response. It's too late. Overwhelmed with grief, Lisa loses it and drives everyone away from her home. Paul talks to John, saying that with the kidnapper's nephew dead, Peta's chances of survival don't look good. As they chat, Miguel and his team show up with a lineup of suspects for John to identify. John recognizes one of them, but denies knowing anyone. He learns that the kidnappers are part of a gang called La Hermandad. John heads to the crime scene, where reporter Mariana gives him her card and tells him to reach out if he needs help. Afterward, John goes back to his place to grab his stuff. He stops by Peta's room and sees Lisa overwhelmed with sorrow. Seeing her pain, John vows to take down anyone who harmed Peta. Fueled by determination, John gets ready to use his skills once more. John calls Mariana, asking her to trace an address from a license plate number. She heads to the FE to get Miguel's help. Although Miguel warns her about John's dangerous past, he gives her the information. John tracks down a supposed judicial cop and, holding him at gunpoint, takes him to a remote spot. Under pressure, the cop reveals he didn't know who was behind the kidnapping, but had handed Peta over to the Guardians, specifically to a doorman known as the Butcher. After getting what he needs, John shoots the cop and pushes the car off a cliff. Watching it explode, Miguel is worried about the danger John poses with the information he got. Determined, John heads to the narco rave party, blending in with the crowd. At the entrance, he threatens the bouncer with a gun and demands to see Peta. The bouncer leads him to the Butcher's den, a heavily fortified room. John takes control, holding everyone hostage and demanding to know where Peta is. The Butcher, seeing John's determination, spills the beans. He doesn't know the whole hierarchy, but admits to withdrawing cash from an ATM every 2 weeks. John figures out that corrupt officers took the ransom money, and Lieutenant Victor is a major player in La Hermandad. With no use for the Butcher anymore, John kills him and sets the place on fire, turning the rave into a blazing inferno. He then calls Mariana, giving her the traumatized girl and the ATM card, and asks for help tracking the money. He learns that Victor was involved in the ambush and the missing money. Paul's words echo in John's mind. He's an artist of death. Once John has vengeance in his sights, he won't let any culprit breathe freely. Following this, John waits outside Victor's house, loading an RPG. When Victor's car arrives, John fires at it, causing a massive explosion. He then targets Victor's bulletproof car with precision. The car catches fire, and the driver's door opens. John hijacks the car, drives to a secluded spot, and blindfolds Victor. Victor admits he's the president of La Hermandad and reveals that the ambush was a quick money scheme. Most of the ransom was taken by Jordan Kalfas, Samuel's lawyer. After hearing this, John walks away, leaving Victor to his fate. The explosion in the distance marks Victor's end. John arrives at Jordan's place and finds Jordan dead in the pool, along with a fax of bank transactions linked to Samuel. He heads to Samuel's house and confronts the stunned man. Lisa arrives, and Samuel confesses. In a desperate move to pay off his debts, Samuel and Jordan kidnapped Peta, expecting a big insurance payout. They were promised she'd be returned in 2 days. But Victor's interference ruined the plan. Samuel killed Jordan out of rage and betrayal. Lisa tells John to kill Samuel and leaves, leaving Samuel with a loaded gun. Moments later, a gunshot rings out, marking Samuel's end. Manzano and Mariana figure out that the voice's wife used the ATM card. They find her house and a photo of the voice, ignoring threats from La Hermandad. Mariana publishes the voice's photo and gives John the address. Armed with a shotgun, John storms the house, but is shot by the voice's brother, Aurelio. John chases him down, causing a car crash. Furious, John drags the injured Aurelio back and forces his wife to sit down. During the tense interrogation, he learns the voice's real name is Daniel Sanchez. John orders the wife to call her husband. When Daniel calls, John, seething with rage, delivers a gruesome ultimatum and shoots Aurelio on the spot. Daniel confirms Peta is alive, mentioning the teddy bear named Creasy Bear as proof. He proposes a deal, Peta for John's life and his brother. John agrees and sets up a meeting. John contacts Lisa, giving her the meetup details and a shotgun, telling her to kill Aurelio if anything goes wrong. At the meeting spot, John reunites with Peta on an overpass. They share a tearful hug, and John tells her he loves her and to go to her mother. As Peta heads to her mother, John walks toward his death. Peta watches, crying, as John is taken away. In the end, John succumbs to his wounds but dies with a sense of peace. Manzano tracks down and kills Daniel during the arrest.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below with your suggestions for future videos, any questions you have, or just to say hi. Your feedback is super important to us and helps us create better content for you. Also, feel free to share this video with your friends, family, and on social media. It really makes a big difference and helps our community grow. You can follow us on Insert your social media handles for more updates and behind-the-scenes content. Thanks again for your support, and we'll see you in the next video.